5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you Flash versus Jangbi in the OSL round of 8. It's a 3-set series. This is going to be absolutely epic. We have Flash as the fangirls cheer Flash on. Flash is the Terran player, and I do not know why accepted taking so long to actually get accepted there. But regardless, Flash is the Terran at the upper right corner, and we have Jangbi as the brown Protoss here at the bottom left corner. People are cheering like crazy for Jangbi. Wow, I am actually quite surprised at how many fans he has. Let's see how many fans cheer for Flash when they show a shot of him. Don't know whose fans those are. Well, okay, they're not showing a shot of Flash, so... Oh, there's Flash! And he's getting a good amount of cheers, too. I cannot tell who's getting more cheers by the fans in this particular matchup, but clearly there are fans for both players in the audience in great abundance. They seem to be cheering at a little of everything, really. I don't know what that sign said, but surely he's supporting one of the players. Regardless, Jangbi has been performing... well, he's been playing very well. The games he's lost have been, for the most part, impressive games. But the fact of the matter is, his record is still not very good. For the most part, he's delivered great performances, but he's failed to win. Flash is paranoid about something. He seems really paranoid about some sort of cheese, sending his SEV to check little corners there. As well, he should. He should be a cautious player. I mean, he probably knows his reputation is such that many players would be likely to try more cheese-type attacks against him, since he seems to be still more or less invulnerable. And Flash putting out a forward barracks. Look at that, Flash is super paranoid. He's also putting down his refinery now, so he may be going for a proxy factory of some sort. I don't know, it's hard to say. But probably not. There we see, people truly are Jangbi fans. He is kind of back. Unfortunately, though, for Jangbi, and I hate to say this, he had to go up against Flash. And this is truly the sad part for Jangbi here. I just don't see how he's going to make his way past someone like Flash in a best of 3. Why couldn't he have run into someone like Hyuk or So, or one of the other players in the round of 8, or Modesty? You know, even Fantasy, I feel Jangbi could probably beat. But Flash, he might be able to take a game here, but Jangbi is going to be very, very hard-pressed to defeat Flash. Flash sending out SCV Scout at seemingly the correct time. There through the middle. Truly, Flash is a devious player. I mean, he didn't send the SCV from that barracks directly to scout Jangbi. No, he sent it through the middle. That is just unbelievable how much Flash plans every detail out in his games. Lesser player, I am convinced when I have sent his SCV through the middle like that. Flash, seeing this, is going to back up his Marine to the base. He's got a factory going down for him, so it looks like he's going factory into expansion. He's smirking almost a little bit there, although I guess that was more of a grimace and not a smirk. Perhaps he realized that Jangbi has opted not to go for a fast expansion of some sort, as some Protoss players are fond of doing, and he could have punished Jangbi if Jangbi put down a 12 Nexus, for instance, at forward racks, and the SCV would allow him the perfect setup for bunker rush. As it stands, Flash has potentially countered a bunker rush, but it looks like Jangbi is going to play standard. This map is New Bloody Ridge, which is fairly, wow, okay, it's pretty biased against Protoss in PvT. It's 40% win rate for Protoss over Terran, so, you know, Flash has a map advantage, not that he really needs it. Even if the stats were reversed, and this was 60% in favor of Protoss, I would have to say Jambi would have a very, very tall order here to beat someone of Flash's caliber. And I know I am commenting some of these series incredibly out of order, but the way Flash dismantled Best 2 times in a row in the finals of the Pro League, absolutely incredible series. And Jangbi, like that, he is clever, trying to sneak a pro by. I mean, normally this type of maneuver would work, but for some reason Flash just seems to sniff everything out, one step ahead of his opponents, and he is truly on fire now, working his way to an unprecedented 4th OSL title potentially. If he can do that, he will have surpassed Nada, which, bear in mind, the last time this record was achieved was back in 2006, back during the era of Savior, when Nada won his 3rd OSL. And that record has stood for 5 years. And let us see whether Flash can break it now. And that is going to be an incredible feat if he can do that. If you think about it, Nada's rise didn't really begin until 2002, and he had 4 years where he was an incredibly dominant player. Sure, he slipped once or twice, especially during that time when his father died, but Nada had the presence of mind to come back from something like that. And Flash has been around since 2007, really, so it'll also be 4 years more or less. But he might be able to accomplish what Nada can't. And the thing is, Flash is looking nearly unbeatable now. As unbeatable as, I would say, his height of dominance in 2010, when he was crushing everybody left and right and making it to the finals of both Star Leagues 3 times in a row. So, truly, Flash is going to leave himself a mark here in history, sending some vultures out just to plant a mine here or there. He's also getting some sort of hand injury surgery soon enough. Hopefully that goes well. Flash pointing down 3 factories. Looks like he wants to put some tanks and vultures out for fast pressure against Jangbi, switching his strategy yet again. He's got so many little builds prepared. Jangbi putting down his robotic support bay in the enemy box facility in the front there, which is kind of odd. But maybe he just wants the observers out sooner rather than later. Jangbi is going to be comfortable soon enough on 4 gateways, and we will see how he defends against this fast push incoming by Flash. He's going to have to fight for his life here if he wants to win. I have faith, though, Jangbi can put up a good fight, but I truly do not believe Jangbi can beat Flash. If he can do so twice in a row, and admittedly, things like this have happened before, where Flash, seemingly invincible, has been toppled. But if Jangbi can do this, he'll certainly have proven himself, and he may, in fact, be on his way to his first OSL win, which would be very nice. But look at this, Flash has already massed up 5 Marines, SCV there at the front, and he's also got 2 tanks and several vultures to support his little force there. He sees the Dragoons moving out. Let's see how Flash responds to this. Looks like he's sending his vultures back, potentially, while massing up his forces, not quite moving out. I think he might be waiting for Jangbi to put down an expansion at that 9 o'clock before really pushing out here. And now Jangbi realizing the threat at the front here. He's moving everything back, but already losing 2 Dragoons here. Flash pushing in mercilessly with his forces, pushing the beleaguered Protoss defenders back here. That mine not quite being dragged into probes, but Flash still has so many forces. He's laid mines in the back to cover his position, but Jangbi microwaving well, not letting the mines land, has Dragoons. Absolutely intense battle here. All the vultures going down. Zealot bomb's not really working out since Flash hasn't actually sieged up the forces, and Jangbi looks like he is going to be able to beat this attack back. Flash needs reinforcements now. He's just brought the reinforcements back when he needs to, but Jangbi, with so many units coming out, destroying all of Flash's tanks. Jangbi, brilliant defense by Jangbi, slaughtering all of Flash's troops and suffering almost low losses. Incredible feat by Jangbi. This is the sort of play he needs to exhibit against the Master here, and maybe there is a shred of hope here for Jangbi yet. Maybe he has a chance to truly defeat Flash here. Brilliant defense, I have to say, by Jangbi. It looks like he has absorbed all of Stork's powers, since Stork really has not been playing well of late. And that is kind of interesting, Samsung Khan. Either Jangbi performs really well or Stork performs really well, but rarely do both of them ever perform really well. I think it was all the way back when Samsung Khan actually won the Pro League. I think that was 4 seasons ago, actually, that both of them played well. I actually forget whether Jangbi was kind of good back then. I don't think so. I think he was just coming to his own back then. Regardless, it was a long time ago, and Jangbi, look at that, reacting quite well. What is he doing? Well, he's trying to bait the mine there. Microing well, look at that. Jangbi was pressing the mine to do that. He's got these 2 Dragoons here, but they're not going to be able to hold against all those vultures, unfortunately, even on top of the ramp. He's got plenty of forces to defend, but Flash, now his initial attack repulsed here. He has successfully prevented Jangbi from setting up another base, which is good. Jangbi getting a Reaver there to assist his forces. Jangbi also hasn't suffered any sort of serious losses. But Flash, with units a bit thin here, all he has are some fast-moving vultures, is not going to be able to launch any sort of serious assault for some time. What Flash needs to do, obviously, is to build up his strength. He's getting some Goliaths out just in the nick of time to deal with this shuttle with the Reaver, by the way, and Jangbi hoping to do some counter damage with this Reaver. If he can do some good damage here, he will put himself in an excellent position. Let's see how well Flash defends against this. Jangbi has more than enough forces to ward Flash's vultures off, and Flash pulling his SCVs at just the nick of time, only losing one SCV and getting a bit of damage on that tank there, but it's not going to bother Flash too much. Flash already with another base up and running here. And Jangbi is using his units quite well there. That Reaver is causing some annoyance to Flash, but it's failed to inflict any sort of critical damage. So Jangbi forced to back up here, and now he is going to rally his Reaver perhaps with the rest of his forces. No, he's still trying to get in there with speed upgraded on his shuttle. And these mines going absolutely wrecking all those Dragoons. Oh, Jangbi was playing so well up until that point. That disaster is going to force Jangbi back for now, and the initiative has shifted back into Flash's hands. As it stands, both players are on 3 bases. At roughly the same time, Jambi only now getting his Templar Archives, and Protoss generally want to be one expansion ahead of the turret, and I fear that Jangbi will merely be grinded down mercilessly by Flash's approaching metal fist here. His tank columns will just smash through whatever Jangbi's defenses there are, unless Jangbi can get himself another base. Look at that, Jangbi has speed observers. That is interesting. Very interesting indeed. I mean, I'm always an advocate of Protoss upgrading their observer speed, but no, maybe getting out 3 or 4 observers first and then upgrading speed would be wise. I'm actually kind of surprised that he upgraded the speed so early. What I don't like is, when Protoss get the late game, which this is actually more or less turning out to be a late game, they never upgrade observer speed, which I find silly. And look at that, Jangbi with 2 shuttles. He's probably got a bunch of Zealots lit up, but Flash has plenty of forces to deal with this potential drop here. Jangbi would have been wise to send an observer here to take a look at this force opposing him. And now Jangbi seeing this, bringing his observer in, going to unload quite a few Zealots here. The tanks trying to target the Reavers. There are 2 Reavers there, and now Flash bringing his vultures back to assist the offense. I'm actually not 100% sure that's necessary, since there are so many mech forces here, and all the Zealots looks like are going to go down. Jangbi has inflicted some damage at the cost of all his Zealots there, but he's really failed to do anything serious to Flash. He just killed a few units here and there, and Flash is going to happily take that exchange. Jangbi has spent considerable time and effort in these drops, and I like Jangbi's play thus far, but again, why did he just have to come up against the Master? Why couldn't he have taken out someone like Modesty and, advance his way to the round of 4? And then we would see an epic 5-game series, which would be incredible, I feel. Now, Jangbi launching perhaps a dual-prong attack. No, this shuttle getting driven back there, barely surviving against that turret. Jangbi needs to be a bit careful here. He's got the speed observers. I mean, he should use them to scout a bit better, instead of sending his shuttles in blindly quite like that. Normally, Protoss do that, but with speed observers, I don't see any reason why they should. Our Dark Templar out, Jangbi truly with a balanced army here, but Flash with no weaknesses in his defense. And I truly do not know what Jangbi can do. I think his best bet is to try to defeat Flash in a field battle of some sort when Flash decides to move out. Jangbi needs to defeat him with a good use of spells, especially Storm, or possibly Stasis, and try to catch Flash's army unprepared in the field. That happens more often than not. It's one of Flash's few weaknesses. And then try to press his advantage once he's achieved that and destroy one of Flash's expansions. A direct assault. Now Jangbi's putting down 2 Stargates. He's going to go for carriers. That could work, but Flash is such a master of anti-carrier play that I truly fear he's lost some games in in this year rather, 2 carriers, but Flash surely is wise to this now, and he is not going to be a victim anymore to these carrier strategies. He defeated Stork in the round of 16 quite handily when Stork went for carriers, so I really don't think that Jangbi's little carrier switch here is going to work out. In fact, I think it'll work out quite poorly for him. Flash will sniff this out, and he'll attack just when Jangbi is starting to build his air force and try to defeat Jangbi before the carrier is really coming to play here. Flash is fond of doing something like that. He's got a science vessel out. Ooh, that Dragoon dragging mines into those vultures. That's quite clever there. I guess that was more unintentional by both players probably, but nevertheless, Jangbi getting a bit of revenge there. But Jangbi truly has been playing quite well with his myriad attacks. and I think he's acquitted himself fairly well, especially his masterful defense early on. Thus far, neither player landing any sort of decisive blow. Look at that, Jangbi with 4 cannons to protect his base. They will help. Flash probably will send the vultures in anyway to do what damage he can, but those 4 cannons are going to help somewhat. Still, quite a few probes getting taken out. At least, well, actually, no, it looks like the vast majority of probes getting taken out regardless. It's always easy to underestimate just how devastating vultures can be, but at least Flash, actually had to lose all his vultures. Usually, Protoss players have like 1 cannon there. Flash just crushes the cannon and then kills everything in the base, forcing Protoss to send valuable Dragoons over there just to mop up the vultures, who often take quite a bit of life out of the command center itself. So, look at that, Flash with so much focus at the front here. He is truly quite insistent on defense here, quite focused. And look at that, Flash already scanning and scouting out that there are carriers coming his way, knowing exactly what is coming towards his base soon enough. And I think Flash will just have the correct units to defend. Meantime, I always want to see one of these Protoss players bluff carriers. Put down the 2 starports and a fleet beacon, maybe build a token carrier or 2 just to trick Flash into going very Goliath heavy. However, it looks like Flash does have a massive force of tanks that he's already built up, and he is going to unleash this force now. When Jangbi is building his 3rd Stargate, and this battle is going to determine who's the winner. Jangbi, fortunately for him, has some Templar. His storms are devastating in the past. We shall see how these storms stack up now. Jangbi getting himself up onto the ledge here, and look at that, Jangbi sending a double-pronged attack with his Reavers at the back and a massive attack coming at the front, but it looks like Flash is not going to be fooled. He's going to use tanks to deal with these Reavers, and Flash managing to withdraw almost all his SCVs without much of an issue. Flash not being fooled, sending his army out on the attack here, and Jangbi's 2 diversionary attacks failing to distract Flash at all. Truly incredible presence of mind here by Flash. Oh, Jangbi really needs to mobilize those Templars. He needs a shuttle there to scoop up those Templars and assist his force. That's the only way he could possibly beat Flash's massive tank force, who's got himself wedged in a nice little corner there to prevent Jangbi's main assault. He sent a small force here just to deal with the base at the 11 o'clock position. Jangbi marshalling his forces. He's forgotten about his Templars or something. I don't know what Jangbi is doing. He's marshalling his forces around, but he's not really able to accomplish too much. And now Flash sieging away at that 11 o'clock base. Jangbi needs to act now rather than later, but his forces are running around mindlessly in the middle of the map, whereas Flash has got himself in a great position. What is Jangbi doing? Jangbi looks like he is going to perhaps sacrifice that base. He's warping some additional reinforcements to help it hold out longer, and now I guess he might be waiting for Flash to mobilize his forces before moving out, but so many tanks. Massive battle here. Good EMPs all over, but storms are counterattacking. Great storms here by Jangbi. Unfortunately, not quite enough. So many units of Flash. Jangbi still has 4 Templar in the back. He needs to mobilize a new wave of Zealots and those Templar. Look at that. Despite Jangbi's good performance thus far, Flash has truly a massive force of tanks. And now he's surely building a lot of lives to reinforce his attack. Flash with the presence of mind to send his tanks continually against that base at the 11 o'clock. Great EMP! Masterful EMP by Flash! Wiping out the energy of all those Templars. With that maneuver, I fear Flash has just won the game. With that maneuver, that EMP. Why, oh why did Jangbi not build some more shuttles? He should have gone for the Arbiters and the Gateways and whatnot, but Flash, with his huge tank force, now is sieged up outside of Jangbi's natural. He's taking shots at the 9 o'clock base, and Jangbi's carriers out too late. Jangbi gonna lose the base at the 11 o'clock. He literally had nothing to send over there. Jangbi would have been better off sending all his probes to attack the tanks at this point. And now Flash's huge army sieged up outside of Jangbi's natural, gonna take down the base at the 9 o'clock, it looks like. Jangbi, all he has left are some carriers with some interceptors out, but Flash does not care. He knows he can finish off these 2 bases before Jangbi can build enough interceptors to respawn, by which time Flash will have mobilized enough Goliaths to deal with Jangbi. And the tech switch costing Jangbi the game. Unfortunately for Jangbi, if he had gone for the ground approach, I feel he would have done much better. All those resources, he could have mobilized new waves of Zealots and attack Flash when his screening forces were down, in conjunction with those Templar he had in reserve. It probably would have been enough to defeat Flash. And then his superior economy would have kicked in. Well, he would be 4 bases on 3. It would be even at least. But Flash, Terran actually have a very hard time recovering from the loss of all their tanks. I mean, there's not much to say at this point. Flash has won the game. That EMP, he would have won just with that EMP alone on all those Templar. That was Jangbi's last shot. But as it stands, I mean, Jambi played well. He had 2 diversionary attacks. I'm sure most lesser Terran players would have responded to those threats. Sent a lot more units to deal with the Reavers and sent quite a few forces to attack Jangbi's army, trying to attack Flash's 3 o'clock. But no, Flash did not fall for it. He pressed his attack, and Jangbi was forced to react. And he, unfortunately, just did not react too well. What a difference some more shuttles would have made in this game. Oh, alas for Jangbi. This is how he loses. More EMPs. At this point, it's just rubbing salt into their wounds, rather. Jangbi able to get some good storms off, despite getting good number of Templars. This is what I mean. Flash has a tendency to clump his tanks into, massive, easy targets like that. Imagine if Jangbi had done that at the critical moment, which he still could have. Flash would have been defeated. It would have been an epic battle. Jangbi with a lot of carriers now, but it doesn't matter. He's lost pretty much all of his economy. All he has is the base at 6 o'clock left and these carriers. Flash is not going to care. He's mining comfortably off 3 bases, although his natural is probably a little thin. Flash doesn't even care about these tanks. He's going to send them in and bulldoze his way to the Nexus, and there's nothing Jangbi can do to protect this position. Even if Flash loses all these tanks, he could care less. He's just going to build masses of Goliaths and kill the Interceptors. Sooner or later, Jangbi is going to run out of resources, and the Interceptor count already starting to grow somewhat thin here. Flash knows he's won. Jangbi fighting hard, though. He probably realizes that he shouldn't have switched to carriers. I don't know. So many Protoss players keep wanting to do that. And this is like 2007, 2008, all over again when the Protoss switched to carriers and Flash just smacks them down. Sad sight there, Jangbi losing his Nexus at the 6 o'clock. Game is over. Fortunately for Jangbi, he has 2 more games left. This is a 3-game series. He could probably win at least 1 game. I hope he does. GG coming from Jangbi there.